Okay, Sid, so I've taken the cylinder head, which actually looks not too bad. There's a little bit of pitting on the valve stems, as you'd expect with the mileage, but nothing horrendous. And although I haven't tested it, the combustion pressure test was okay, and the valves look actually pretty healthy in the cylinder head. There's no nasties there that I can detect at the moment, but I will put some fuel in it and check for leakage and everything. The camshaft followers, tappets, whatever you want to call them, there's a bit of wear on them, but there's no actual scoring, so those will need to be reground anyway when we change the camshafts. But they can be reground, it's not too expensive, there's plenty of stellite on them. But the worst bit so far I've discovered is the cams don't actually look too bad. The inlet cams I didn't expect to see any wear, and they look alright. The exhaust cam I was expecting to see it badly scored, and I can't really show you down there, but you can see the lobe there. There's no scoring on it, but it measures, as I said with the dial gauge testing I did, it's 3mm of wear on that, or 2mm. So anyway, we'll see when we split the crankcases, because we are going to have to split the crankcases, because the pistons are horrendous. You can see the scoring there. If I put the torch on it, you can see it a bit better, and all that roughness there is horrendous. There's been a partial seizure. Nothing in the pistons or conrods says it's been overheating. The conrods aren't discoloured or anything, they look in quite decent condition. And the pistons don't look like there's been a lot of high temperature blow by the rings, so the rings have been doing their job. But I suspect the metal swarf from the cams has been getting into the bore from the splash in the oil, and the bores are absolutely knackered. It's hard to show again with the camera, but on the thrust faces there, where my finger is there, is rough. Can't see it, can't show it rather. You can just see a patch there of it down here, but it feels corrugated with my finger. And the same on the other bore. And you can see the partial seizure that's resulted here with that scuff mark on the piston there. It's really rough down here on both pistons. That piston's particularly bad. It's absolutely partially seized there, and the same on the front end. The front end is the thrust face normally gets the worst wear. It's not quite as bad, but it's bloody awful, and it looks just like metal particles abrading the pistons, which would be tally with the wear on the camshaft. But what other damage it's done I don't know, but the worst bit is this conrod's alright, it rotates alright on the crankshaft, sorry, and there's no play or anything, so it'll need new shells. The shells will be scored almost certainly with the oil going through, contaminated oil, but it feels alright reasonably. But this one is absolutely almost semi-seized on the crank. I can just rotate the crank. I can't by hand, but I can rotate the crank, and I can just move this conrod on the crank, so it would have seized solid in a few miles. God knows how it ran and sounded as sweet as it did in the state it's in. So what I'm guessing is this conrod, possibly there's been a lack of oil getting through the sludge trap because of the metal, or it's just damage to the shells has caused it to seize on the crank pin. Hopefully the crank will be alright and will grind out okay. It'll probably need a regrind. We'll see when we get it stripped, but that's the next job after I get back from holiday. So it's not all horrendous, but it's just as well stripped it down when we did, because it could have been a catastrophic failure with more than a seizure. You could have had a conrod break or anything really, and the damage that would have done would have been horrendous. So good news in a way, but obviously a lot of work to do from here on in. Cheers.